Hello there guys, Francis Gray here, and today we will be customising two Ezio statues from the hit Ubisoft game Assassin's Creed 2. So as you can see there guys, we've got two statues, the identical poses. There's a few differences obviously besides the colour. There's like different throwing knives on this one but on that one, shoulder armour not on this one, not on that one, sword on this one, not on that one. Basically there's two versions of the same, more or less the same statue. The reason is because when they made Assassin's Creed 2 originally, you obviously had a choice to either buy the game on Xbox or on PlayStation 3. I don't know if about PC. I'm sorry. I'm just more of a console person. So yeah. So if you bought the special edition for the Xbox, you got the white version. You got the white Ezio, and that's who you played with in the game. Now, if you bought the PlayStation 3 version of the game, obviously because PlayStation 3s were black, you got the black Ezio. So same again. That's what you played with in the game. So it was obviously a clever marketing ploy. Quite a lot of the fans went out and bought like this game twice so they could play both versions of the exact same game. Just the only difference is obviously the colour of Ezio that you play with. So yeah, so obviously they made the two versions of the same statue. They obviously just changed it up with a few little extra bits on the black version. So I'd say the black version was better of the two. But me myself, I was more of an Xbox player, so I played more with that version of the character. Now, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be putting him on a much better base. Now, if you follow my channel, there's a good chance you've probably already seen one of these before. This is a gargoyle base from a statue called Sarah from a series called Tales of Midnight. Basically, it was a failed property. It was like a comic that they tried to get off the ground. I believe Corgi got the rights to it, or they got the rights to making the statues for it. Obviously, because it's a failed franchise, nobody wanted the statues. So you can usually pick up these pretty cheap on eBay. They usually go for like about £10 each, something like that. Or if you buy them in bulk, you can get them a bit cheaper. So obviously with that being a gargoyle base, it would be absolutely fantastic for one of these Ezios. So the idea I was going to do is I was going to do two of these, and I was going to paint one up all nice and light and clean, which represents the Xbox version, and I'm going to do one all darker and grainier and grittier, which is going to emphasise the PlayStation 3 version. So the statues are fine as is. I will do a little bit of touch-up paint work where there's been a few like knocks and scratches and whatnot over the years. So for the next part, the next thing to do will be to take this character off the base. So I'll just do that with a hobby saw. Okay guys, so now that we've got our gargoyle base, there's no point filling these holes in just yet because I don't know where Ezio's feet's going to line up. So I might be able to use one of these holes towards the pinning section. So I'll leave them bare for now. They will get filled in if they are visible later on. So yeah, so there's gargoyle base. The next step will be to take this Ezio figure off this base here, this plastic base. So I'm going to try and just pull it and snap it off. If not, I will have to probably go in with the hobby saw again. Okay guys, so as you can see there, he's just snapped off, so it's just a small thin hole here, and then there's a circular hole here, and that just needs filing down. That's just a piece of plastic. So best choice might be is to put a peg system in here, and then maybe a little bit of Aves epoxy clear in there, and then push the other bit of rod in there. So in theory he should be like that. So I'll go ahead and do the same to the other two, and we should have our main parts ready to go. So now that we've got all the main four parts separate now, the next part will be to add some pins to the bottom of Ezio's feet, and then drill some holes into these gargoyle bases. Hi guys, so I have four exactly the same diameter and size metal pins. These are now going to go into the feet of the Ezio statues, and then after that I will be drilling them into, or drilling the holes into the gargoyle bases. Okay, so for the next part, I will need to line these up. So I will be looking at roughly here. Yep, that's about right. Okay, so it goes in okay, but the problem is this back foot is a bit too high up. Now once I add a pin to that, it should even out a bit better. Hi guys, so as you can see there, there's just one pin in each left foot, so that's enough to keep them stood upright, but to add extra stability I will be adding a second pin to the right leg. So the best way to do that is to line them up so they're symmetrical with the front of the gargoyle, which is about there, and then just take a pencil and trace around the foot itself, and then you know where to drill. Right, so there's the black version done. Right, now the white version's a little bit trickier because this back foot isn't sitting flush. So I'd say that was about right. Okay, so the next part is to take all the parts off, and now I know where to drill. Okay, so now that we've got these back pins in place and we've got the front pins in Ezio's feet, now is a good opportunity to fill this hole in here with Aves epoxy. Same with this one, but instead of letting that harden, that'll get pushed into place, so the sticky out bit of the pin will know where to go into the clay and will make a perfect point of impact. Same goes with the other one, and also filling this middle part here with Aves epoxy as well, because those parts will be visible. Hi guys, so as you can see there, the both Ezio statues are now stood up straight. This black one's gone really well at the moment, nice and flush to the base. The white version, I had to tie a few elastic bands around them to basically keep them upright. That's just up until the Aves epoxy in his right foot has time to harden. Once that's hardened, he should stand up straight, and then it's just a matter of cutting this elastic band, taking the other one off, and yeah, should be good to go. So I'll leave this 24 hours to dry, and then the next stage will be starting to lay some paintwork. Okay, so now that we've got the bases grey primed and ready to go, the next step will be to paint them up. So as a reminder, this one is going to be painted more lighter colours to represent the Xbox version of the game, and this is going to be painted up more darker colours, which represent the PlayStation 3 version of the game. Okay, so now that we've got our medium grey base coat on there, it's time to add some details. So this is going to be the Xbox Lite version of the gargoyle. So this grey can be used as the as like the medium tone, so to speak. So this gargoyle and this part here and these understruts here are going to be painted lighter. So the best way to do that is to dry brush on some mushroom grey. Now I'm going to use mushroom grey just from a tester pot. You can usually find these in like DIY stores. Great value, only £1, and the paint lasts you usually a long time. Okay guys, so now that we've got the basic medium grey base on the dark version, or the PlayStation 3 version of this statue, we're going to make this gargoyle darker. So the Xbox version was lighter, so this is going to be darker, so they're going to contrast. So what I'm going to do is, instead of dry brushing like we did with the last one, this time I'm going to be putting on some, this is another tester pot, but it's titled Barely Black, and this is from Wilkins or Wilco's. So basically we're just going to put it on, paint it on, and then we're going to use a damp cloth to wipe off the excess, so all the dark paint accumulates in all the little nooks and crannies. So that should give the top part and the gargoyle a more darker tone compared to the Xbox dry brushed version. Right guys, so as you can see there, just that as a one base undercoat, or just a simple overcoat of a darker colour, has made it completely different to the other one. So obviously there's going to be like a opposite yin-yang effect with these two. Okay guys, so for the next part, while this top part dry brush is still going to be drying, I'm going to lightly go in and I'm going to start adding some details on the brickwork. So what I'm going to do with that is I'm going to use some Spanish saffron, which same again as a tester pot. Okay guys, so now that there's a base coat of like a general, like a brickish colour I suppose, now I'm going to change it around and I'm going to paint the exact same on the black version, but later on we'll darken it down with the airbrush. So for now it'll look more or less the same, but later on we'll change it. Okay guys, so now that we've got our base colours on there drying, later on I'm going to be painting these bases black, so it's probably a good idea now to paint the undersides black and then leave them to dry, so I don't have to worry about those later on. I want to do that now. The reason why is I don't want to add loads of details on these and then have to paint underneath, and then accidentally maybe like scratch some paint off or something, and then I'm having to colour match, and it's just a nightmare. So it makes more sense to paint the undersides of these now. So for the next part, we're going to be adding a basic red wash over these orangey brickwork, just to give it a bit more depth, I suppose. And then after that, we'll be going over with like a dry brush top colour. So for now, I'm just going to use a red wash. And then allow that to dry. Okay, so now that we have our basic brick colour, now is probably a good time to dry brush some highlights over it. so now that we've got a dry brush on the brickwork, drying, the next point is I'm thinking about painting these back parts. So with this one I'll probably paint it a dark grey, which will be thicker, so this will look lighter in comparison, and then I might keep this one more or less the same colour but with some whiter grey brushed highlights. So there's a bit of a difference between the two of them. Okay, so for the next part I was thinking about highlighting some of the mortar between the bricks, so obviously it all makes the bricks stand out individually. Okay guys, so for the next part I would like to give this these bricks, or this brickwork, a slight wash of black. So basically it just darkens and dulls it down, because obviously this is the PlayStation. So I'm going to do the same with the lighter version, basically just to add quite a lot of definition to the brickwork itself. Okay, so for the next part I'm going to be adding some medium grey highlights via dry brush on the darker parts of the gargoyle. so now that we've dry brushed the ends, I'm going to add just the smallest amount of mushroom grey to the key points that'll attract the eye. So that's like the ends of the horns and this apex corner kind of a thing. Okay, so for the next part, there's these vines that have made their way on the brickwork. Now, there's obviously on both statues. With this being the lighter version, I'm going to repaint these, but I'm going to do them like a more like a medium green colour, so they look fresh. And on the dark side version, that's going to be more like a dark brown, so it looks like it's aged and maybe dead or dying. So before I can go ahead and paint these green, I need to lighten the base coat up. That's basically so the green can be a little bit more vibrant when shown through. So the best way to do that is just to paint over it. You could go over it with a white, but I usually find mushroom grey is probably the better of the two, because we don't want it to be too vibrant. Okay, so now that's got an undercoat of mushroom grey, we'll leave that to dry, and then once that's fully dried, then we can go over it with some light or medium greens. Hi there guys, so for the next part I will be adding some black via an airbrush, basically getting into all the little nooks and crannies and corners. That's just basically to give it a little bit more depth, and especially this one, making it look a little bit more aged and dark. I will also be adding some to the Xbox lighter version, but I can't see myself going too crazy with that. It's only just going to add a little bit of depth to that. So yeah, so we'll crack on with the black version now, and then you'll see me switch over to the white version, and then I'll show you the finished results. Okay guys, so for the next part I'm going to go in with some some medium green watercolour, and I'm just going to add a tiny bit around the side of these vines. Don't want it to be too watery because obviously I don't want it to drop down. I don't want it to be too thick because it'll just dry and clump and rub off. So I want a medium mixture, basically just to go around the sides. Leave that to dry, and then what that'll do is it'll create like a stainage from the vines onto the brickwork. So it's just an extra little detail that'll just add a little bit more depth to the piece. Okay, so now that the green side is done and that's drying, it's probably a good idea to do the same with this side. But instead of going in with a brown, because already the brown's pretty dark, I might go over it with a black. Okay, so now that the bases are drying, it's probably a good idea for me to pay a little bit of attention to the main Ezio figures. So for the most part it's fine as is, but there is the odd little tiny bit of like chip paint or where it's rubbed off. I don't know if you can see that on the end of his hood. So there's a few bits that I might do to this to basically just spruce it up a little bit. With it being different to the Xbox version, obviously light and dark, I'm thinking I might give this Ezio like a 5 o'clock stubble shadow on his chin, which obviously emphasises that it's been a couple of days without shaving, and then obviously the nice clean version is going to be as is. So yeah, so I'll just go ahead and do this now and then show you the finished results. Okay, so I had to put an elastic band around this guy because he seems to be wanting to lean to the left. Hopefully this will straighten him out. This guy seems fine as is. We'll let the glue dry. I'll take this elastic band off and then we'll see how we are after that. Hi there guys, so as you can see there, the two Ezio statues are more or less complete, both being pinned to the different bases. Obviously one painted lighter, one painted darker. There's
quite a lot of details been enhanced on the figures. I repainted the silvers and some of the dark reds on the sashes and the skin tones. Give a 5 o'clock shadow to this Ezio. Some nice little stubble there. So yeah, so more or less, they're finished. The only new thing to add, to show you, is on the back we have these little hidden compartments. Now originally I thought, oh, these will be cool little Easter eggs to put some feathers, because obviously in the Ezio games you went around collecting feathers, you know, in memory of your younger brother. So I sent off for this, which was a feather silicone mould, which was technically more for cake decoration. As you can see, every single one of these is way too big in scale. So I was looking for something more about this big, probably like 2 centimeters, something like that. Now I did try putting the clay in just the top parts, but unfortunately they all just didn't look all that great, so I decided to abandon that idea. So instead, I decided to add just the Assassin's Creed 2 logo. So my first idea was to paint one black with white lettering and then one white with black lettering. So it's like the opposite yin yang effect, I suppose. So yeah, so I took an image of the logo off a Google search, created the colours as just a black and white template, sent it off to a company to be printed on some really small thin bits of wood, white primed the wood when they came back, I did a little bit of watercolour, watered down black over the top, rubbed off the excess so that highlighted all the little nooks and crannies, so it made it like a basic outline of the lettering. And then just took my time, painted over them. Yeah, and then I'm glad to say that both versions have turned out really nice. So here's the black version. So that's just going to get glued in place there. And then here's the white version, which again is just going to be glued there. Now I hope these don't fall off, but the idea is from the front you can't see them, you can't make them out. So you just think like, oh, that's Ezio from Assassin's Creed 2, and then if you turn them around, then you see the logos in place. So it's just a little hidden Easter egg, I suppose. So yeah, so now that these are painted up, the next stage is I'm going to add some varnish to these to help protect the paintwork, help stop it from scratching, and then yeah, and then just try and super glue them in place, and hopefully they won't fall off anytime soon. So yeah, so I'll crack on with that now and show you the finished results. So there you go, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. I've really enjoyed working on these two. Especially the uniqueness of the build, with obviously capturing the Xbox version of the game and the PlayStation 3 version of the game, which was a unique time for the Assassin's Creed fans, because obviously you could only play as one or the other. So yeah, it's a nice little tribute to the gaming history, I suppose. So if you like this video, smash that like button, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on future model kit builds and statue reworks and repaints and statue reviews and model kit reviews and basically all the good stuff that life has to offer. Subscribe so you don't miss out on all that. And yeah, if you have any comments, comment below. I'd love to know what you think of them. If you have any critiques to my video editing, because obviously I'm only just starting out creating this kind of video content. It seems to be proven popular, so hopefully I'm keeping you guys interested. So, or if you just want to say hi, just comment below, let me know, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. So yes, so once again, thank you for watching, and see you next time. Thank you very much, and goodbye.